So often on social media, we want to share the W's, the big wins. But I hope by sharing some L's, and there's many of them, about how I built my business the wrong way, I'll be able to help you learn a lot quicker in terms of monetizing and making your creator economy business much more sustainable. For me, I really built my business upside down or backwards, depending on how you look at it. And I'll share a little more about what I mean later on. But basically, I was creating marketing material. I was making lead magnets. I was giving away gifts and creating products that could be what we will call later on infinity or infinite products, like a membership that someone could join for, $20 a month and be a member for the next 50 years. Now, this was one of the biggest unlocks for me, was getting a sneak peek, a look behind the curtain, behind the scenes of what some of my favorite mentors, heroes, and creators that I looked up to, like what they were doing to build sustainable businesses. I could see what their niche was. If they posted a video, I understood what they were getting at, but I didn't understand how the heck are they making money? And in some cases, lots of money, like millions of dollars. One of the coolest things, once I got to see what they were doing, and I'm going to show you in a second, is how similar a lot of their business models are. They call them solar systems, ecosystems, value ladders, or islands, or maps, but they're all really similar in terms of the types of products that they offer, the different levels of things that they sell. I mean, there are thousands of products that we could sell, but there are really 7 different levels. As I looked through each of these creators, I realized that there are 7 very consistent themes. And so I'll share those 7 things with you. But first, I just want to show you how similar a lot of these people that I've looked up to and learned from are creating their businesses behind the scenes. But first, why is it so important to understand these business models? Simply put, it's because these business models are the key to building a successful, sustainable business. But why the heck does that matter? This is something that I wish I learned a lot sooner. This whole idea of ownership and why it's valuable is because you should want to earn millions, if not billions of dollars. When I used to think about the idea of having a business or making money, and you look at athletes that are making like 80 million a year or something, and you think, oh, that'd be nice, but it's not really that important because I have a good enough life. I was always thinking of income. I wasn't thinking of the impact that I want to have. I have a lot of goals around parenting, around improving youth mental health in general, helping people design their lives, and all of those things. If you said I could have $10 billion to invest in them, I would take it. If you said I could have 1 billion or 100 million, no matter what it is, I would take as much as possible and try and put it towards building those goals. And in order to do any of these things, we have to make it sustainable. Otherwise, you could create a podcast, build some art as a painter, and for 60 years, never make enough money to even pay your bills, let alone have impact on others. So understanding how to build a business the right way is super important. Now, as I share these business models, I want you to keep another thing in mind. What could you teach? It's pretty funny that I have a master's in education, and even when I went through that, I was always thinking of teaching as this traditional thing, shirt and tie, front of the classroom, taking attendance and having people answer questions, tests, exams, the whole thing that school is all about. I wasn't realizing how valuable the skills and abilities of teaching would be in 2025 as a creator, because I really think that everybody should build some elements of their business, whether it's the marketing, the product, or both, around the ability to be a great teacher. So as I show you these business models, and we'll go through each one step by step, keep in mind, what could you teach? If you built a personal brand around something you could teach, what would that topic be? And it could be anything. How to paint, how to sew, how to start a podcast, how to write a book, how to skateboard. Doesn't matter what it is. What could you teach as you think through these business models? First off, I want to share Daniel Priestley's ascending transaction model. Essentially, he shares that you have gifts At the next level, you have products for prospects, meaning that you actually sell something or you exchange something like a book in exchange for capturing data. It's a smaller product that is meant to take people from being interested in your brand to actually making a purchase and being technically a customer. But on the third level, you have your core product, the 3, 4, 5, or 6 or 7 steps that you take people through with your main product to deliver results and transformation for them. And finally, you have products for clients. And these are the things that you do to help them with maintenance or ongoing service. Brendan Burchard was one of the first people I learned this stuff from, and he shares his value ladder in the form of a staircase that starts at the bottom with free, free, free. The idea of giving value in the form of gifts and then increasing essentially based on price points. So you might have a low end offer that's a monthly program where people pay similar to TV subscription like Netflix, but for your content that helps them with their transformation. And then you have a mid-level offer, which might be one-on-one or small group coaching. And then you have a high-level offer at the top of the staircase. Russell Brunson publishes it in the form of a value ladder, and he calls it bait, front end, middle, and then back end. And all the while has a continuity program for people who want to do something that's ongoing. Myron Golden shares what's called the offer stack. So you have your lead magnet, which is your free offer. You capture attention and build trust. Then you would have what's called a tripwire or low ticket offer that stacks on top of that. Could be a mini course, but something to actually turn people into buyers. On top of that, he would share a core offer. So this is the main, not necessarily the highest price point, but the main way that he delivers the primary transformation or result for people. So it might be an 8-week group coaching program. And then on top of that, he has a series of high ticket or done for you offers that have a lot more about implementation, tapping into his wisdom. And these are probably as much as hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to tap into, and then a continuity offer, which could be a subscription or membership used to really generate revenue that's recurring and build community that's ongoing. And from a recent guest on the show, John Meese, he has a similar example that's called a gateway offer. So how do you get in the door to work with someone? And then a flagship offer, which is essentially the accelerator or the main thing, the core promise that you are offering to your clients. And then finally, a membership, which is your recurring, ongoing, in his case, invite-only membership that is for existing clients to, again, fuel that ongoing recurring revenue. Alex Hermosi uses the example of a wedding cake when giving advice to building gyms, but businesses in general. And it goes through the idea of starting with an attraction offer where you're just trying to get the most leads possible in a low barrier way, an upsell offer, which comes after that first attraction sale. And the goal is to increase the average order value and profit per customers on average. If people don't buy, then you have a downsell offer where you convert people who said no to the main offer into paying customers. And then similar to all the others, a continuity offer. How can you generate recurring revenue and long-term customer value? The reason why understanding this is insanely valuable, and I wish I figured it out 10 years ago, is best explained by Brand Builders Group Profit Maximizer, where they show an example of how you could have 1,000 customers paying $30 per product, and that's $30,000. And then on top of that, if you create something where 100 customers will pay $300, that's also $30,000. If you create an offer where 10 customers pay $3,000, then that's another $30,000. And if you create a product that equals $30,000, but you only have one customer who pays for that, that's an additional $30,000. And so with a product ecosystem that has at least 4 levels, you can earn yourself $120,000. Now, there's 2 really important things that I want to share before I show you how I combined those into basically 7 types of offers that exist between all of those diagrams. There's nothing missed. I essentially combined them and then deleted anything that was repeated, and it came out with 7 offers. But the 2 things that I want to point out that really helped me were, 1, the transformation should be the same thing. So if you are helping someone start a podcast, or you are helping someone write a book, or learn how to paint, then that should exist through all of those things. If you have a free download, an email course, a book, a group coaching program, a one-to-one consulting and guidance throughout the whole process of making a painting. And then if you commission paintings, like there's these different offers that you can do. Maybe you have a membership that's ongoing to get that recurring stuff, but it's all around that idea of helping someone with something super niche. And the second thing is that the type of product could exist at any level. So you could plug a book into higher up the staircase, or the book could be earlier on. You could create one-to-one coaching as a lead magnet. You could also create one-to-one coaching as the top king at a castle of like $1 million or something. It doesn't matter what you are selling. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the product level. Now, I'll share how I've come to think of this. And while I do, I want you to keep in mind the different types of offers that you could create. If you were teaching something at each of these different levels or offering something in your business, what could you make? I like to think of it as an offer island within the business world that I'm building. I picture it like the map in Super Mario Brothers, and then on that island, you can climb through a gift, which is an attraction appetizer. It's free, 0 strings attached, a low lift, high result possibility, something you could sell though. If you're giving something away, it should not just be because it's cheap and you don't want it. It should be because it's something you could sell, but it's worthwhile for you to give it away as a gift. And then as the second level, we engage. So this is that gateway entree where you want to build trust. In this case, it's low friction, but it could lead to big wins. It's where you start to prove your ability to bring transformation to people and fulfill on a promise. The cost could be just data. So this is where you could exchange for an email address or the ability to message them later. And then you have your main offer. Potentially within it, you could have different levels like bronze, silver, and gold, but this is the core flagship offer that you have for the primary transformation. You sell this after the engagement offer, and it's the thing that really proves your 10x promise in 1 to 3, maybe upwards to 7 steps. But the idea of this is the main way that you help people transition from in pain to out of pain, to achieving what the promise is that you want for your greatest clients. The fourth thing is, because we're using Super Mario Bros, we can say a secret tunnel, but it's essentially the downsell. So those people who are truly not ready for your main offer, your main transformation, you can still convert them if they said no, and they can become customers with a lower cost alternative that is just right for them. But it must be positioned so it doesn't destroy the main offer. And what I mean by that is that it needs to be for people who just genuinely can't afford or aren't ready to become a client of your main thing. And this is actually valuable if they go and do the work with this thing in a different way than your main offer. Then they may well come back and want to be clients, or at least, if nothing else, they can get a legitimate transformation from it. You have your infinite offers. And again, these are recurring, predictable, continuity-based things. They support existing clients with their ongoing needs, kind of like back-end maintenance. So you sell a car, but then you also sell a maintenance package. There are 2 more levels, and they're kind of like bonuses. If we think back to all the other creators that I mentioned and the value ladders or ecosystems that they've built, you don't necessarily need to have these things, but they're just based on that increase in terms of the value and the intimacy that you bring with your customers. So what I like to call a high offer increases the done for you elements, the customization, the personalization, and it's the highest form of implementation or a personalized solution. So this is where you get very custom. If you teach people how to write a book, well, maybe this is the ghostwriting offer where for $100,000, you will essentially take all the friction, all the difficulty out of writing that book and help write that book for them. And then we have the maxed out offer, your most VIP clients, the greatest level of trust, intimacy, and the total greatest value of transaction possible. This is where someone like Myron Golden takes people on his private jet quarterly to go over all the problems in their business. In your case, it may be where not only you ghostwrite a book for them, but you will coach them once a month throughout the entire year after the book is published to help them with their marketing content. Whatever it is, it's the most one-to-one where you would have very, very few numbers of clients because you can't sustain the offer if it's that intimate and that much on a one-to-one basis. So I hope that really helps you peel the curtain back, get a sneak peek at how people are building these really sustainable and incredibly valuable and lucrative creator businesses by creating their product ecosystems. Like we said right at the beginning with Daniel Priestley's ascending transaction model, products don't make money, product ecosystems make money. In order to build this legit creator business, I want you to be thinking about what can you teach at each of these levels. And if you were to shoot for the moon and land among the stars, what is that massive VIP offer you could create all around that one thing that you teach? Until next time, all the best and just keep learning.